The morning sun rose over the research base on Theta 9, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. June checked his equipment one last time before heading out for the day's expedition. As the team's xenobiologist, he was responsible for documenting and studying the wildlife on this newly discovered planet. "Everyone ready?" Captain Hana called out, her voice clear and confident. She stood by the airlock, checking the team roster on her tablet. June nodded, adjusting the strap of his sample bag. "All set, Captain." The six-person team filed into the transport vehicle. Besides June and Captain Hana, there was Day, the security officer whose hand never strayed far from his weapon, Minji, their technology specialist, and two other researchers, Kim and Jun. They had been on Theta 9 for just over 2 weeks, but this would be their first deep venture into the western jungle region. As the transport hummed across the plains, June stared out the window. Theta 9 was beautiful in a wild, untamed way. The plants here grew in shades of deep blue and purple rather than green, and the sky had a permanent pinkish tint. Everything about this world felt both familiar and deeply alien at the same time. "Approaching. Drop point," Minji announced from the driver's seat. "Sensors show high biological activity in this area." Day checked his stunner. "Any large life forms?" "Several," Minji replied, pointing to her screen. "But they're keeping their distance for now." Captain Hana turned to address the team. "Remember the protocol. We observe only. No interference with the local wildlife unless absolutely necessary. June, what are we looking for today?" "The jungle region should have different apex predators than the grasslands we've been studying," June explained. "I want to document the hunting patterns and compare them to Earth predators. The theory is that despite evolving on different planets, similar ecological niches will produce similar evolutionary outcomes." The transport came to a stop at the edge of the jungle. Dense blue-purple vegetation stretched ahead of them, alive with strange calls and movements. "Stay together, Captain," Hana ordered as they stepped out. 2-meter spread, no one goes off alone." The team moved in formation, with Day at the front and Captain Hana at the rear. June walked in the middle, his attention split between his scanner and the wonders around them. The jungle was hot and humid, filled with strange smells and sounds. After about an hour of careful progress, they reached a small clearing near a stream. "Let's set up here," Captain Hana decided. "June, you can start your observations. Minji, set up the perimeter sensors." June pulled out his recording equipment and began to catalog the smaller life forms near the water. There were insect-like creatures with 6 wings, amphibians with translucent skin, and small furry animals that looked like a cross between squirrels and lizards. The team worked quietly for almost 2 hours. The sun had risen high overhead when June's scanner began to beep softly. "Large life form approaching from the north," he whispered, pointing toward a dense patch of vegetation. "It's big, possibly an apex predator." Day moved forward. Stunner raised. "Everyone get back to the center of the clearing." The team gathered together, watching the tree line. For a few moments, nothing happened. Then the vegetation moved. It emerged slowly, a massive creature unlike anything they had seen before. It walked on 6 powerful limbs, its body low to the ground like a big cat, but covered in armored scales like a crocodile. Its head was broad, with rows of sharp teeth visible even from a distance, and a ridge of spines ran down its back. It was easily 4 meters long, and would stand taller than a human when fully upright. "Nobody move," Captain Hana whispered. "Day, be ready with the stunner, but do not fire unless I give the order." The creature sniffed the air, clearly detecting their scent. Its head swung toward them, and it let out a low, rumbling growl. "It's going to charge," Day hissed, raising his weapon higher. Before anyone could respond, the predator burst into motion, covering ground with frightening speed. The team scattered, diving for cover behind rocks and trees, all except June, who stood frozen in place, unable to make his legs move. "June, run!" Captain Hana shouted, but it was too late. The creature bore down on him, its massive jaws capable of snapping him in half with one bite. In those final seconds, June did the only thing he could do. He stared directly into the predator's eyes, and then something unexpected happened. The creature skidded to a halt just 3 meters from June. It rose up slightly on its hind limbs, its head now level with June's. Their eyes locked, June's wide with fear, the predator's yellow with vertical slits. For several heartbeats, neither moved. The clearing was completely silent. No one dared to breathe. Then, slowly, the predator's posture changed. The spines on, its back lowered. Its aggressive stance softened. It tilted its head slightly as if confused or curious. Without breaking eye contact, the creature backed away one step, then another. It gave one final look at June, then turned and disappeared back into the jungle at a casual pace. June's legs finally gave out, and he sank to his knees, his heart pounding in his chest. "What just happened?" Kim asked, emerging slowly from behind a rock. Captain Hana rushed to June's side. "Are you all right?" June nodded, still unable to speak. "That thing should have torn you apart," Day said, lowering his stunner. "It was pure luck." Captain Hana helped June to his feet, her expression thoughtful. "I don't think it was luck. Did you see how it reacted when it looked into June's eyes? It recognized something." "That's impossible," Minji argued. "We've never been to this planet before. These creatures have never seen humans. And yet," Captain Hana said, "it stopped." "June, what do you think happened?" Finally finding his voice, June whispered, "I don't know, but it felt like it knew me somehow, or knew what I was." "We need to report this," Captain Hana decided. "And I want all future encounters recorded. There might be something here we're missing." The team packed up quickly, the earlier excitement replaced by nervous energy. As they made their way back to the transport, June kept replaying the moment in his mind. The way the predator had looked at him not as prey, but with what seemed like recognition. Back at the research base, June sat alone in the lab, reviewing the footage from Minji's drone that had captured the encounter. He slowed it down, watching frame by frame as he and the predator locked eyes. There, in that moment, he could see it clearly. The predator's posture had changed from aggressive to something else entirely. Not submission, not fear, but something like respect. June leaned back in his chair, his mind racing with possibilities. What had the creature seen in his eyes that made it back down? And was it unique to that predator? Or would others react the same way? He began typing up notes for a new research proposal. Tomorrow they would return to the jungle. He needed more data, more encounters. Something about human eyes caused this predator to recognize them as equals, or perhaps as something to be feared. The question was, why? June didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning. The answer would take him across worlds and change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe forever. 3 months had passed since June's first encounter with the 6-limbed predator in the western jungle. The research base on Theta 9 had grown busier as more scientists arrived to study the strange phenomenon that June and his team had discovered. Captain Hana stood at the front of the meeting room displaying images on the large screen. "As you can see, we now have documented encounters from 12 different regions of Theta 9. The screen showed various apex predators from across the planet. A massive amphibian creature with glowing spots from the northern marshlands, a pack of swift wolf-like hunters from the eastern plains, a venomous flying predator from the mountain ranges, and several others. In every case," Hana continued, "direct eye contact with a human caused the same response. Initial aggression, followed by recognition, then retreat." June sat forward in his chair, still amazed by the growing evidence. What had seemed like a one-time event was now a clear pattern. "What about other Earth species?" asked Kim, who had been conducting controlled tests with small animals brought from Earth. June shook his head. "We've tested dogs, cats, monkeys, and birds. None of them trigger the same response. When a predator looks into their eyes, it either attacks or ignores them. Only humans cause this recognition behavior." Minji, who had been analyzing the data with the help of the base's computers, pulled up a new set of images. "I've been examining the brain patterns of the predators during these encounters. When they make eye contact with humans, there's a unique neural response in this region. She pointed to a highlighted area. It's similar to the recognition patterns we see when one apex predator encounters another of equal or greater threat. So, they see us as fellow predators? Day asked, sounding surprised. As the security officer, he had been ready to shoot the creatures in every encounter, but had never needed to fire a single shot. It seems more complex than that, June replied. They don't just see us as equals. There's something specific about human eyes that triggers an almost instinctive response. A message alert blinked on the main screen. Captain Hana opened it and smiled. Good news. Dr. Sung has been cleared to join our expedition. His shuttle will arrive in 3 days. Dr. Sung? Kim asked. The evolutionary biologist from Earth? The very same, Hana confirmed. He's been studying convergent evolution across known exoplanets. When he heard about our discoveries here, he requested permission to join us. He's bringing some archaeological findings that might help explain what we're seeing. June felt a surge of excitement. Dr. Sung was a legendary figure in xenobiology circles. His theories about universal patterns in evolution had been controversial at first, but were gaining more acceptance as humans explored more worlds. In the meantime, Anna continued, we need to gather more data. Tomorrow we'll split into 2 teams. June, you'll lead a team to the Southern Canyon region. There have been sightings of a new type of predator there. Minji, you'll come with me to set up more monitoring stations in the Eastern Plains. After the meeting, June returned to his lab to prepare for the next day's expedition. As he packed his equipment, he couldn't stop thinking about what they were discovering. What was it about human eyes that these alien predators recognized? And why did it cause them to back down? The next morning dawned with dark clouds gathering on the horizon. June's team, consisting of himself, Day, and 2 new researchers named Lee and Sue, loaded their gear into the transport. Weather report says we have about 6 hours before the storm hits, Day said, checking the forecast. Should be enough time to reach the canyon, set up our equipment, and get back. The ride to the Southern Canyon was bumpy, taking them through terrains they hadn't yet explored. As they traveled, June briefed the team on what to expect. The drone surveys show at least 1 large predator species in the canyon. They appear to be ambush hunters, hiding among the rocks and dropping down on prey from above. Remember, if you encounter one, try to maintain eye contact but be ready to move if our theory doesn't hold. The canyon was a dramatic landscape of tall, reddish rock formations. Unlike the lush jungle or grassy plains, this area was drier, with sparse blue-purple vegetation clinging to the rocks. The team set up their equipment on a wide ledge that gave them a good view of the surrounding area. Look there, Lee whispered, pointing to a narrow crevice in the rocks across from them. 2 gleaming eyes reflected the light back at them. Nobody move, June said quietly. Let it come to us. The creature emerged slowly from its hiding place. It had a long, sleek body covered in what looked like overlapping plates. 6 thin but powerful legs allowed it to cling to the vertical rock face. Its head was triangular with no visible ears and eyes that seemed too large for its face. It's beautiful, Sue whispered, adjusting her camera to record the encounter. The predator tensed, then leaped across the gap between the rocks with incredible speed. It landed just 10 meters from where the team stood. Day raised his stunner, but June motioned for him to wait. The creature hissed, displaying rows of needle-like teeth. It moved forward slowly, its body low to the ground in a stalking posture. Then it looked up, directly into June's eyes. Just like before, there was a moment of tension, then a visible change. The predator's aggressive stance softened. It blinked several times, then backed away, still facing them, until it reached the edge of the ledge. With one final look at June, it turned and disappeared back into the rocks. That's the 13th different species to show the same response, June said, his voice filled with wonder. This isn't a coincidence. Before they could discuss further, a loud rumble of thunder echoed through the canyon. The storm was approaching faster than predicted. We need to head back, Day urged, looking at the darkening sky. June nodded, but as they packed up their equipment, the wind began to howl through the canyon. Rain started to fall, quickly turning into a downpour. The transport's too far, Lee shouted over the wind. We need to find shelter now. Day pointed to a dark opening in the canyon wall. There, that might be a cave. They grabbed their essential gear and ran for the opening. It was indeed a cave, extending deep into the rock. They moved inside, grateful for the shelter from the increasingly violent storm. Looks like we'll be here for a while, Day said, checking his weather app. The storm's intensified. It could last through the night. June took out his flashlight and shined it around the cave. What he saw made him freeze. The walls were covered in paintings, ancient, faded images stretched across the rock surface. They showed bipedal figures, not human, but humanoid, standing before various predator-like creatures. In each image, the eyes of the humanoid figures were emphasized, drawn larger and more detailed than any other feature. This is impossible, Sue whispered, moving closer to examine the paintings. These look thousands of years old. June touched the wall gently. These can't be human paintings. Humans have never been to this planet before us. Then who made them? Lee asked. And why do they show the same thing we're experiencing? Day's flashlight revealed more paintings deeper in the cave. Look at this one. The predators are bowing, submitting to the humanoids with the big eyes. June took photos of every painting, his mind racing with new questions. If these paintings were made by some previous intelligent species on Theta 9, they had experienced the same phenomenon. The predators of this world had recognized something in their eyes too. When they finally returned to base the next day, Captain Hana was waiting anxiously. We were worried when you didn't come back before the storm, she said. But it seems you found something important. June connected his camera to the main screen, showing the cave paintings to everyone. These change everything, he said. This isn't just about humans. Whatever predators recognize in our eyes, they recognized it in another species too, one that lived on this planet long ago. As the team discussed the implications of their discovery, a message came through. Captain Hana read it and looked up with a smile. Dr. Sung's shuttle just entered orbit. He'll be landing in 1 hour. June felt a surge of anticipation. Their discovery was bigger than they had imagined, and Dr. Sung might hold the missing pieces to the puzzle. The pattern was emerging, but the full picture was still waiting to be revealed. Dr. Sung was not what June had expected. The famous evolutionary biologist was a short, round man with kind eyes and a warm smile. But when he spoke about his work, his voice filled with passion and energy. These findings are extraordinary, Dr. Sung said, examining the photos of the cave paintings June had discovered. The entire research team had gathered in the main lab to hear his thoughts. They align perfectly with my research. Your research? Captain Hana asked, leaning forward with interest. Dr. Sung nodded and opened his tablet. For the past 15 years, I've been studying what I call universal evolutionary patterns. The idea that certain traits evolve independently across different worlds when faced with similar environmental pressures. He displayed images of creatures from various planets. Look at these examples. Flight has evolved on every known world with an atmosphere. Streamlined bodies have evolved in every aquatic environment. And predator-prey relationships follow remarkably similar patterns wherever we find them. June studied the images with fascination. And you think there's a connection to what we're seeing here with human eyes? I believe so, Dr. Sung replied. Consider this. What if the predator-prey relationship is more universal than we thought? What if the evolutionary arms race that shaped Earth's predators and humans has played out similarly across different worlds? He pulled up a new image, an ancient cave painting from Earth showing early humans hunting a large predator. Early humans on Earth evolved as pursuit predators. We weren't the strongest or the fastest, but we could track prey over long distances. We could outlast them. And along the way, we developed something unique. Our eyes, Minji said softly. Doctor? Song smiled at her. Exactly. Human eyes are distinctive among Earth species. We have visible whites around our irises, allowing others to see precisely where we're looking. And the focused gaze of a pursuit predator who never gives up until its prey is caught. That became a universal warning sign. But these are alien predators. Day argued. They've never encountered humans before. True, Dr. Sung said. But what if the trait these predators are recognizing evolved independently across worlds? What if that predator gaze is so effective that it appeared wherever intelligent pursuit predators evolved? Captain Hana tapped her fingers on the table thoughtfully. The cave paintings suggest another species on this planet evolved the same trait, and possibly went extinct, Kim added. I have a proposal, Dr. Sung said. To test this theory properly, we need to expand our research beyond Theta 9. I've arranged for research permits on 3 more exoplanets with documented apex predators. If we observe the same phenomenon across multiple worlds, it would strongly support the universal hunter theory. 2 weeks later, June found himself stepping onto the frozen surface of Epsilon 7, the first of the 3 additional planets they would visit. Along with Captain Hana, Dr. Sung, and Minji, he had volunteered for this expanded research mission. Epsilon 7 was a cold world, covered mostly in ice and snow. The team wore thermal suits as they trudged across the barren landscape, toward a region where the planet's most fearsome predators were known to hunt. The crystalline hunters, Dr. Sung explained as they walked, are silicon-based life forms. They evolved in this extreme environment and are perfectly adapted to it. They hunt in packs and have no known natural predators. And you think they'll recognize something in our eyes too? Hana asked, her breath visible in the freezing air. If my theory is correct, yes, Dr. Sung replied. The evolutionary pressure that creates a successful pursuit predator should be similar across all environments. They set up their observation equipment on a ridge overlooking a wide, icy valley. For hours, they saw nothing but swirling snow and occasional glimpses of small, scurrying prey animals. Then, as the planet's distant sun began to set, Minji spotted movement. There, she whispered, pointing to a glittering form moving across the snow. One by one, more shapes appeared. A pack of crystalline hunters. They looked nothing like Earth predators or those from Theta 9. Their bodies were angular and translucent, catching and reflecting the dying sunlight. They moved with fluid grace despite their seemingly rigid forms. They're hunting, June whispered, watching as the pack surrounded a large furry creature that had been burrowing in the snow. The hunt was quick and efficient. The pack coordinated perfectly, cutting off escape routes and bringing down their prey with precision. Now we observe. From a distance, Dr. Sung said. Let's see if they detect us up here. They didn't have to wait long. After feeding, the leader of the pack raised its crystalline head and looked directly toward their position. It made a sound like tinkling glass, alerting the others. They've spotted us, Hana said, her hand moving to her weapon. Stay calm, Dr. Sung advised. Let's see what happens. The pack began moving toward them, climbing the ridge with impressive speed. June felt his heart racing but remembered the protocol they had established. He would maintain eye contact if possible. The crystalline hunters reached their position faster than expected. The pack spread out in a semicircle surrounding them. The leader, larger than the others, stepped forward. Nobody move, Hana ordered, though her voice trembled slightly. The leader hunter tilted its angular head, studying them with faceted eyes that looked like cut gemstones. It moved closer to June, who stood his ground and looked directly into its eyes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, just as on Theta 9, there was a visible change in the creature's posture. It made that tinkling sound again, but softer now. The other hunters became still. The leader backed away slowly, still facing June. Then, in a movement that stunned everyone, it lowered its head briefly before turning and leading the pack away. Did it just bow to you? Minji asked incredulously. June could hardly believe what he had seen. I think it did. The recording equipment captured everything, Hana said, checking the devices. We have perfect footage of the encounter. Dr. Sung was beaming with excitement. This is exactly what I predicted. A completely different species on a completely different world, yet the same recognition. Back on their research vessel, Minji analyzed the recordings from both planets. Look at this, she said, displaying brain scans of the predators during the eye contact moments. Despite their completely different biology, both species show similar neural activity when looking into human eyes. The response is even stronger here on Epsilon 7, Dr. Sung noted. The pack leader actually submitted. That suggests recognition of a superior predator, not just an equal. Over the next month, they visited 2 more planets, with similar results. Each time. On the jungle world of Proxima 2, the massive serpentine predators froze when making eye contact with humans. On the savanna-like Nova 8, the high-speed pack hunters changed direction mid-charge when Hana stood her ground and stared them down. When they finally returned to Theta 9, Dr. Sung presented their findings to the expanded research team. The evidence is overwhelming, he said, displaying data from all 4 worlds. Apex predators across completely different evolutionary paths all recognize something in human eyes. The look of a pursuit predator, a hunter who uses intelligence, endurance, and social cooperation to track and outlast its prey. June studied the composite image Dr. Sung had created, 4 different alien predators, all showing the same response to human eyes. But why would this trait be so universal? Kim asked. What makes the eyes of a pursuit predator so special? Dr. Sung smiled. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. What kind of predator would be most feared across any world? Not the strongest or the fastest, but the one that never gives up. The one that can think ahead and plan. The one that hunts not just with claws and teeth, but with mind and will. He paused, looking around at the team. Humans didn't become Earth's dominant species because we were the strongest predators. We became dominant because we were the most relentless. And that quality, that determination in our eyes, speaks a language that every predator across the galaxy seems to understand. As the meeting ended, June stayed behind, staring at the images on the screen. What Dr. Sung was suggesting went beyond biology. It spoke to something deeper about humanity's place in the universe. What are you thinking? Hana asked, coming to stand beside him. June looked at her, his mind full of new questions. I'm wondering what else we might discover. If predators across worlds can recognize something in our eyes, what else might be universal? What other connections might exist that we haven't even imagined? Hana smiled. I guess we'll have to keep exploring to find out. What they didn't know was that their next discovery would take them beyond biology and into the realm of ancient history, a connection spanning thousands of years and countless worlds. 3 days after returning to Theta 9, a message arrived from Earth Command that changed everything. A satellite mapping the northern continent of the planet had detected unusual energy readings coming from what appeared to be artificial structures. These readings suggest technology, Captain Hana explained to the team as they gathered in the control room. But according to all our previous surveys, Theta 9 has never developed an advanced civilization. June studied the satellite images with growing excitement. Could these be ruins? Maybe from the same species that made the cave paintings? Dr. Sung nodded thoughtfully. It's possible. If another intelligent species evolved here as pursuit predators, they might have developed technology before going extinct. We need to investigate, Hana decided. June, Dr. Sung, Minji, and Dai will come with me. We leave tomorrow morning. The journey to the northern continent took most of the next day. They flew over vast forests and winding rivers until the landscape changed to rocky highlands. The ruins came into view as they approached, gray structures half buried in the ground, partially covered by blue-purple vegetation. This is incredible, Minji whispered as they landed. These aren't just primitive structures. Look at the geometric precision. The team stepped out of their aircraft and approached the ruins cautiously. What had once been a large building now lay in pieces across the landscape. But even in ruins, the technology was clearly advanced. These walls are made of some kind of metal alloy, Day said, scanning one of the fragments. And it's still giving off faint energy readings after what must be thousands of years. They moved deeper into the ruins, documenting everything they found. The structures had clearly been built by beings similar in size to humans, with doorways and passages that fit their height. Look at this, June called from what appeared to be a central chamber. The others joined him, and they all fell silent at what they saw. The chamber was circular with strange symbols carved into the walls. In the center stood a platform that glowed faintly despite the obvious age of the place. "It's still powered," Minji said in amazement, scanning the platform with her equipment. "There's an energy source beneath this structure that's been running for millennia." Dr. Sung approached the platform carefully. "These symbols, they look similar to the markings in the cave paintings. I think this was some kind of research facility." As they examined the chamber, June noticed something in the corner, a row of transparent containers. He moved closer and gasped at what he saw inside. "Everyone, come look at this." The containers held perfectly preserved specimens, creatures that appeared to be apex predators from different worlds. One container held what looked like a saber-toothed tiger from ancient Earth. Another contained a predator similar to the six-limbed creature June had first encountered in the jungle. Others held specimens he didn't recognize. "These are predators from across the galaxy," Dr. Sung said, his voice filled with wonder. "Including Earth. But how is that possible? No species from Theta 9 could have visited Earth thousands of years ago." Minji, who had been examining the central platform, called to them excitedly. "I think I found something. This platform, it's some kind of data storage device." She carefully touched one of the symbols on the platform. Suddenly, the entire chamber lit up with a soft blue glow. A holographic display appeared above the platform, showing rotating images of various planets. "It's responding to our presence," Minji said, her fingers moving across the strange interface. "I think I can access the data if I can figure out how this works." For the next few hours, Minji worked to decipher the alien technology, while the others continued exploring the ruins. Eventually, she called them back to the central chamber. "I've managed to access some of the data," she announced proudly. "It's not complete, but I think I understand what this place was for." The holographic display now showed a sequence of images. Different predator species from various worlds, followed by images of eyes. "From what I can tell," Minji explained, "this was a research outpost for an advanced spacefaring civilization that lived over 50,000 years ago. They called themselves the Watchers, at least that's the closest translation. They studied evolution across thousands of worlds." "And they were specifically interested in predator-prey relationships?" June asked. Minji nodded. "More than that. They were searching for a pattern, a universal trait that appeared wherever intelligent life evolved. And they found it." She adjusted the controls, and the hologram changed to show detailed images of eyes from different species. The Watchers discovered that on every world where intelligent life evolved, it followed a similar pattern. The species that eventually developed intelligence were pursuit predators, hunters that relied on endurance and planning rather than just strength or speed. Dr. Sung moved closer to the display, his eyes wide with excitement. "Just as I theorized, pursuit predation is a universal path to intelligence. But there's more," Minji continued. "The Watchers found that all these species developed a specific adaptation in their eyes, not just the physical structure, but a neurological pattern that created what they called the hunter's gaze. A look that signaled to other predators, 'I can outthink you, I can outlast you, and I will never stop.'" Captain Hana frowned slightly. "But why would they collect specimens from all these worlds? What were they looking for?" Minji adjusted the display again, showing more data. "They were trying to understand the evolutionary advantage of intelligence. According to their research, the hunter's gaze was the first step toward developing higher consciousness. They believed it represented a specific kind of awareness, the ability to focus intention over time, to conceive of a future state and work toward it." June thought about the predators they had encountered across 4 different worlds. Each had recognized something in human eyes and backed down, not out of fear, but out of recognition. "So when these predators look into our eyes," he said slowly, "they're seeing something they instinctively recognize as dangerous, a mind that can outplan them." "Precisely," Dr. Sung agreed. "The focused gaze of a pursuit predator is a universal warning sign. It says, 'I'm not just hunting you with my body, I'm hunting you with my mind.'" As they continued exploring the data, they discovered another surprising fact. The Watchers had left automated defense systems throughout their facilities, programmed to recognize potential threats. When Day accidentally triggered one such system in another chamber, alarms blared momentarily before shutting down. "What happened?" Hana asked, rushing into the chamber with her weapon ready. Day looked confused. "I'm not sure. It scanned me, then just turned off." Minji checked the system's logs. "It scanned your eyes," she said in amazement. The defense system was programmed to recognize the eyes of pursuit predators as potential equals. It registered you as kin. The implications of this discovery stunned them all. The Watchers, an advanced civilization from 50,000 years ago, had programmed their systems to recognize and respect species with the hunter's gaze. "We're not being recognized as the apex predator," Dr. Sung said softly. "We're being recognized as part of a universal brotherhood of hunters, species that evolved the same critical trait that leads to higher consciousness." As the sun set over the ruins of the ancient outpost, June stood outside, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there were thousands of worlds where evolution had followed similar paths. Worlds where predators recognized the look in human eyes, not as a threat, but as a kindred spirit. The universe suddenly felt both larger and smaller at the same time. Larger because of the countless worlds yet to explore, and smaller because humans might not be as alone as they had thought. They had found a connection that transcended biology, a shared evolutionary heritage that might one day serve as a bridge between Earth and the stars. 6 years had passed since the discovery of the Watcher ruins on Theta 9. In that time, humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos had been transformed. June stood at the window of his office at the Interstellar Research Institute, gazing out at the bustling city below. The skyline of Seoul had changed since he'd first left Earth for Theta 9, with new towers reaching toward the clouds. But the biggest changes had been in how humans saw themselves in relation to the universe. "Professor June?" His assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Captain Hana is here to see you." June smiled. Even after all these years, he still thought of her as Captain Hana, though she had long since left the military for a diplomatic role. "Send her in, please." The door slid open, and Hana walked in, her familiar smile bringing back memories of their adventures across the stars. They had married 4 years ago, shortly after returning to Earth to share their discoveries. "Ready for the big day?" she asked, crossing the room to stand beside him at the window. June nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "As ready as I'll ever be." The Araxian delegation arrives in 3 hours. Today marked a historic moment. The first official diplomatic meeting between humans and the Araxian coalition. The first confirmed intelligent alien species humans had encountered. After decades of searching the stars for other intelligent life, contact had finally been established 2 years ago. "Dr. Sung just called," Hana said. "He's already at the meeting center, reviewing all the data one last time." June chuckled. Still, the scientist, even at a diplomatic event. Their research had expanded dramatically since the initial discovery. What had begun as a curious observation about predators on Theta 9 had grown into a comprehensive study covering over 50 worlds. The predator recognition theory, as it came to be known, had revolutionized humanity's approach to xenobiology and the search for intelligent life. "I've been thinking," June said as they walked together toward the elevator. "All this time, we've been searching for intelligence based on our own specific path, looking for technology, radio signals, mathematics. But the real marker was right in front of us all along." "The hunter's gaze," Hana said with a nod. "Exactly. The thing that makes us human isn't just our technology or our culture. It's that evolutionary legacy of being pursuit predators. The patience, the determination, the ability to envision a future state and work toward it." Their car took them through the city to the newly constructed Interspecies Diplomatic Center. Security was tight, with guards checking their credentials several times before allowing them into the building. Inside, they found Dr. Sung in the preparation room, surrounded by displays showing data from their years of research. "Ah, there you are," the older scientist greeted them warmly. "I was just reviewing our findings about the Araxians. fascinating species. The Araxians were insectoid in appearance with 6 limbs and compound eyes. Their civilization was older than humanity's, having achieved spaceflight nearly 1,000 years earlier. Yet, despite their physical differences, the research team had discovered something remarkable about them. Their evolutionary path was strikingly similar to ours, Dr. Sung explained, pointing to one of the displays. They evolved as pursuit predators, in an arid environment using endurance and pack coordination to hunt larger prey. And their eyes? June asked, though he already knew the answer. They have the same neurological pattern we found in humans and in the Watcher data. Despite having compound eyes, they developed the hunter's gaze, that focused intention that marks a pursuit predator. A voice announced over the intercom that the Araxian ship had entered Earth's atmosphere. It was time for the diplomatic team to take their positions. The meeting hall was grand with a circular table at its center symbolizing equality between the species. Human representatives from various nations took their seats with June, Hana, and Dr. Sung positioned as scientific advisors. When the Araxians entered, a hush fell over the room. There were 5 of them, moving with a graceful coordination that reminded June of the predators they had studied. Their exoskeletons shimmered with iridescent colors, and their compound eyes reflected the light in fascinating patterns. The leader of the Araxian delegation, identified by the ceremonial markings on its exoskeleton, approached the table. Its translator device clicked softly as it spoke. "We greet the people of Earth with respect and hope for friendship." The human representatives responded with carefully prepared welcomes, but June was watching the Araxian leader's eyes. There was something familiar in the way it observed the room, the same focused attention he had seen in predators across dozens of worlds. The formal introductions continued, but something unexpected happened when the Araxian leader locked eyes with June. It paused mid-sentence, then made a gesture that its translator explained was a sign of deep respect among its people. "You are kindred hunters," the Araxian said directly to June. "We recognized it in your first transmissions in the way your kind looks at the stars. You have the eyes of those who pursue their goals with patience and determination." The human delegates looked confused, but June, Hana, and Dr. Sung exchanged knowing glances. Their research had predicted this very moment. "We share an evolutionary heritage," June replied. "Though our worlds are different, we evolved similar traits as pursuit predators." The Araxian made a sound that the translator didn't interpret, but which June understood instinctively as agreement. "This is why we chose to answer your signals when we detected them. Among the stars, there are many forms of life, but those with the hunter's gaze are to be respected as equals." The diplomatic discussions continued throughout the day, covering trade, cultural exchange, and scientific cooperation. But the most profound moment came later, during a less formal gathering. June and Hana watched as their 6-year-old daughter Jin was introduced to the child of one of the Araxians. Despite their physical differences, the 2 children approached each other with curiosity rather than fear. When they locked eyes, there was no hesitation, no instinctive recoil, only mutual recognition. Jin looked up at her parents with a smile. "Their eyes look like yours when you're telling a story," she said simply. "Like they can see all the way to the end." June felt a profound sense of wonder at his daughter's observation. She had captured the essence of what they had discovered over the past 6 years. That the ability to envision a goal and work toward it, to see past the immediate moment to a future state, was the true legacy of evolution as a pursuit predator. That night, as they stood on the balcony of their home looking up at the stars, June thought about how far they had come. What had begun as a simple observation about predators backing down from human eyes had led to humanity's first contact with another intelligent species. "What are you thinking about?" Hana asked, standing beside him. "About how small changes can lead to big discoveries," June replied. "If that predator on Theta 9 hadn't looked me in the eyes that day, we might never have understood what connects us to other intelligence in the universe." Above them, the stars shone brightly in the night sky. Somewhere out there were countless worlds where evolution had followed similar paths, where the patience and determination of pursuit predators had led to intelligence, technology, and eventually, the ability to reach for the stars. Jin joined them on the balcony, her young eyes already carrying the same focused gaze that her parents had. As she looked up at the stars, June knew that she represented the future, a future where humanity would find its place among a cosmic family of hunters, united not by physical form but by the ancient, universal legacy written in their eyes. The patient, calculating gaze of the ultimate pursuit predator who, across countless worlds and millions of years of evolution, had always understood that survival belongs to those who never give up the hunt.